I tried to love it, guys. I tried and I tried, but I'm running the reset on this machine and it's going back. Let's talk about it. So I've been using the Razer Blade Stealth for about a week at this point. I've tried to do video editing on it. I've tried to do daily tasks on it. For the grand majority of things, it runs just fine. It runs acceptably well. For the price that I paid for it, there's some things that bug me about it. The kind of things I would use this machine for are primarily everyday tasks and video editing. I also use my MacBook Pro for that. And when put side by side with the MacBook Pro, let's just say the editing, the video editing side of things, which I do an awful lot of, did not stack up. This was obvious. It was going to be that way, but I wanted to see for myself. I tried it using Adobe Premiere Elements, which I'm very familiar with. I also took the time and I put Premiere Pro on here. I tried and the software kept crashing. I finally got it to where it was not crashing. It had to do with multicam and the effects tab. So whenever I tried not to do it using multicam and just layered everything and synchronized it by hand, it worked just fine, but actually took about 50% longer to render than it did using Premiere Elements. So the comparison that I did there was between just Final Cut Pro X and Premiere Elements. And there we go. I'll put the times up on the screen so you can see them here, but it was about 2.5 minutes for the MacBook Pro, a little over 6.5 minutes for the Razer Blade Stealth. And yes, I have run this test multiple times. It was exactly the same way every time. The numbers might be slightly different, but they were always about that ratio, where one was about 2.5 minutes and the other was about 6 to 6.5 minutes. It took between 8 and 10 minutes using Premiere Pro with any settings that I tried. It actually took longer depending on other settings that I tried with it. And the grand majority of the reason for that is just that this is the Stealth. It does not have anything built in terms of graphics. So that's kind of, again, what was expected. But the other reasons behind this is gonna sound silly, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. There's a noise. And I'm gonna go ahead and play it for you here so you can see it, if it actually picked up on the camera. There's a squeaking noise. There's it's hard to describe it, but I looked it up online and apparently it's called coil whine. A couple of you guys in the comments mentioned it, and it's something that's common to this newer generation, the 7th generation of Intel processors. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm really glad that the new MacBook Pro does not have the 7th generation processors, because if that coil whine is a 7th generation issue, I'm gonna stay away from them. My ears are so ridiculously sensitive that I can hear this thing whining, scratching. It's like nails on a chalkboard from across the room. So I can be over there working on the treadmill desk and I can hear this thing over here not doing anything, just making that noise. When I move my finger around on the trackpad, it makes the noise even more, so Now there are some really good things about this laptop. Like I said before, it is very thin, it's very light, it's got a lot of power to it. Under load, it gets a little bit warm, but not super hot or anything. The speakers are actually decently impressive. I think the speakers on this are a little bit better than the ones on my MacBook Pro, which is a really good thing. The bezel around the outside is a little bit obnoxious, so it didn't really bother me all that much. But all in all, for me, for the price paid for this laptop, I just didn't see the performance benefit over going with something a little bit more expensive like the MacBook Pro. It might be worth coming back and revisiting this topic with something like the Razer Blade that actually has the GTX 1060 in it, or one of the new Asus laptops they just announced that have the built-in GTX 950, I think, because those are ultra thin, ultra light, and they have the newer generation processors with dedicated graphics. But for me, this machine in particular, because it doesn't render video any faster, it actually is about twice as slow as my Mac, and it has that whine. I'm actually hearing the whine right now, and that, I hate to say it, is enough to make me send it back. I know, again, it's not an apples to apples comparison. It's not using the same software. I'm just trying to use the machine the way that I would have to use it if it were my main daily driver machine and it does not meet my needs. It might meet your needs, and I'm happy for you if it does, but for me, it just does not. So again, I will go ahead and leave links to where you can find this, as well as the MacBook Pro down below. I'm gonna be sticking with the MacBook Pro for now, not because I'm a fanboy from one side or the other, just I found something that works well for me. If something else works better for you, I'm so happy for you. More power to you. But that's gonna wrap this video up for today. Thank you guys as always for watching. Hopefully you had a great day. Make sure to hit that thumbs up if you like this. Subscribe to the channel to receive more videos, and we'll see you again next time.